For years now I have stated that I believe that the order of God's prophetic calendar would follow as rapture, peace, then sudden destruction. And certainly we would be out of here, the Christians should I say, would be raptured from the earth before peace takes place. Now with that said, an article was written by Haaretz writer today that stated that disenchantment with peace process, EU may try to force Israel, PA, into agreement. Now I should say that the Bible does say that the European Union or the revived Roman Empire, what I believe are the same, would one day rise up and bring about a peace agreement between many and Israel. That's found in Daniel 9:27. And actually goes, you can follow it back to Daniel 9:25 through 27. But one thing I have to say is that if you are a watcher in Bible prophecy, this is a significant report that is very, very prophetic. And let me go ahead and read the article, and I will analyze it as we go along. It says, European Union will step up efforts to pressure Israel and the Palestinians into an agreement in 2013. An internal foreign ministry document predicts. The report, which was compiled following last month's UN vote to recognize Palestine as a non-member observer state and subsequent European protest over Israel's approval of new construction in East Jerusalem and the West Bank, states that the Europeans may try to promote the establishment of an actual Palestinian state independent of negotiations with Israel. Now you might remember one of my last reports when they did, or I should say the UN did approve Palestine as a non-member state. I stated that this would be the beginning of the end as far as Israel's objection to a Palestinian state, and would likely begin the ball rolling for an actual Palestinian state, even no matter how much Israel may try to up the ante or approve new construction. This eventually is going to blow up in their face. But of course we know God is in control, and that even though this may look and appear to blow up in Israel's face, in the end it will work out as God has planned. But going on with the article, it says foreign ministry officials this week began discussing an evaluation to be presented to the new government after the January 22nd election. The feeling in the ministry is that Israel's status has deteriorated badly over the past 4 years, particularly in the European Union. Ministry officials attribute the decline to the lack of progress in the peace process and Israel's response to the Palestinians' UN bid, particularly the wave of settlement construction. Now I should say this right here, is that the deterioration of Israel's status in the European Union is very important to Israel. Do not think for a minute that Israel does not consider the European Union an important feather in their cap. And when I say an important feather, I mean that they are friends. For the European Union to come down on Israel in this way is not a good thing for Israel. And I should say in the eyes of Israel, it's not a good thing. They very much want to be in the good standing with the European Union as well as with the United States. So don't think for 1 minute that if the European Union is not pleased with Israel, that Israel doesn't care. They absolutely do. A senior Israeli official said the ministry's report predicts that in 2013, Israel will face heavy pressure from the European Union to show progress on the Palestinian issue. The report states that the EU has become disenchanted with the diplomatic process in its traditional format, direct talks between Israel and the Palestinians, because they doubt its ability to lead to a solution. Now here's something you may want to pay attention to. So the official said the report warns of a scenario in which the EU would try to force a solution on Israel and the Palestinians through means other than direct talks. The foreign ministry noted a significant change in the wording of the EU foreign minister's latest resolution compared to those of the past. This time the idea that the best way forward is direct negotiations was absent. A senior ministry official said this is a hint that the EU is looking for ways to promote a two-state solution, even if neither side shows a desire for it. Now compare this to what the Bible says in Daniel 9:27. It says, "And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week." Now this is speculation on my part, but you could very well take that word confirm to mean that he's going to press it upon the individuals who are involved. It may very well not be mutually agreed upon per se, but the two parties may have to grin and bear what the final results do come about to be. And of course it is believed that it will be a 7-year agreement. Now this may be, well, we are going to take all of the steps and we are going to have them completely completed within 7 years time frame. So it'll probably be a step-by-step process in which they don't necessarily agree upon, but they are pressed upon by the European Union, and I am almost assured that this is going to be 100% backed by the United States government. So what you'll have is the European Union putting heavy pressure upon Israel, and the United States backing up the European Union to give it force. So frankly, I look for the European Union in 2013 to put in place heavy pressure on Israel, possibly through individual sanctions or other type of diplomatic pressures to get them to sit down with the Palestinians and to agree with the European Union, not the Palestinians, on certain such situations. So I see both countries, or should I say one country and one non-member state, sitting down and talking to the European Union, and them hammering out an agreement between the two that the European will enforce. Now certainly I don't believe any agreement will be too strong unless the United States completely backs it up, but I think that this is a good way for the United States to step out of the way and to stop being the bad guy in this situation and allow the European Union to do what they must do. Now, does that mean that the Antichrist is about ready to rise? I have no idea. I don't think anybody does. But once the rapture of the church takes place, I can guarantee you that not too long after that the Antichrist will come forth and he will bring about a peace accord. He'll confirm it, just as Daniel 9:27 states. And I believe that this very well could be the opening stages to that agreement being completed. But it won't be completed until after the rapture of the church and the Antichrist rises. Now I think I'm going to repeat that last sentence I stated, because I think it's a very important statement. It says a senior ministry official said this is a hint that the EU is looking for ways to promote a two-state solution, even if neither side shows a desire for it. To me, that sounds exactly what the eventual Antichrist will do when he confirms it. He will confirm this covenant whether either side has the desire to go through with it or not. It will be his confirmation that will be the important aspect of it. And going forward with the article, it says a growing understanding can be seen in the EU of the ineffectiveness of the current process, the report states. This understanding is accompanied by repeated calls to find new challenges of progress. The emphasis from their perspective is not on actual direct negotiations between Israel and the Palestinians, but rather on the essential need to move ahead quickly to a permanent status solution, because the EU recognizes that without a solution, things could go downhill on the ground. And here's a statement of urgency in the next paragraph. It says a senior European diplomat confirmed to Haaretz that the EU thinks there needs to be a peace process in a new format to lead to progress in 2013. We think international parameters should be formulated for the end of the conflict. We will no longer agree that the two sides should sit alone in a room and we should say yes to everything they do. The Foreign Ministry believes that Britain and France want to dramatically increase their involvement not only in future negotiations, but in what is happening on the ground in the West Bank. This stems from concern in Europe that continued construction in the settlements after the Israeli election could prevent the establishment of a Palestinian state, which would harm the interest of the entire EU. European attempts to strengthen the Palestinians' hold over the areas of their foreign state by continuing to challenge Israeli control on the ground in areas A and C will continue, the report states. So what the European Union is saying is that they want to actually take a hands-on approach to preventing Israel from continuing to have settlement building in supposed areas that the Palestinians say are their land. Now, of course, we know as Christians that the Bible states otherwise, but you got to remember we're dealing with the governments of the world. But as I stated earlier, God will sort all this out in His time. The ministry report also notes that despite consensus on the urgent need to bring about a solution of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, the European Union's 27 member states are not of one mind as to how to bring the parties back to the table. The debate revolves around how much to pressure Israel and whether to impose sanctions. Well, I think that will continue to be a central problem until the Antichrist actually comes on the scene and brings about a unified solution. So I look for that to be the situation until the Antichrist does come on the scene. Now, according to the report, European action against the settlements is gathering steam. Israel can expect continued European censures over settlements, as well as action to limit the sale of products from settlements in the EU. However, no harsher steps are expected at this time. Well, I can expect also, when it says it's gathering steam, I expect it to also gather steam in the international community, and that added pressure will be increased throughout the international community in the year 2013. Now, it says in the last part of the report, at the moment, it seems that those in the EU who support restraint toward Israel have the upper hand, the report says, but it must be remembered that the motives for this are not necessarily an understanding of Israel's political exigencies. European restraint toward Israel is conditioned on Israel contributing to the establishment of a Palestinian state. Now, one thing that should also be noted regarding this report is that an EU diplomat told the paper that the international parameters should be formulated for the end of the conflict. Now, this report should be taken seriously, and in another article that I read, it said Israel believes that the EU may try to force it and the Palestinian National Authority to reach a peace agreement in 2013. It says the report is based on an Israeli Foreign Ministry document, states that the EU seriously doubts the viability of the peace process in its current format to end the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, and believes that it needs to needs a new format for there to be progress in 2013. So this is a very serious situation for Israel, and they simply are not taking it lightly. And you as a Christian prophecy watcher shouldn't either. This is something that I've been talking about for many, many years, that I believe this would probably be the situation in which at some point would take place, and now it's not only taking place in the headlines, but it's being played out almost exactly what the Bible indicated it would. So I will continue to keep you up to date on this particular situation and how it will progress. But if you haven't seen the latest reports and news articles, go to my website, www.calvaryprophecy.com, because there are some good articles on what is happening as far as the Syrian situation is concerned. In fact, following this story that I'm talking about right now, it states that Israel is preparing for dramatic changes in Syria. Also, it says PM, which is Netanyahu, told ministers that Israel is cooperating with U.S. and international community ahead of Assad's regime's expected downfall. In fact, right now it's being reported that Netanyahu is in Jordan, meeting with the king on Syria's chemical weapons. And it's also being reported by the rebels that there could very well be mysterious gases being used by the Syrian regime. This is the rebels that are reporting this. So if you haven't had a chance to read the stories that I have posted on my website, you might want to take a gander at those, because there's some important developments that are taking place outside of this agreement that I have just highlighted on today. And as always, we always like to end our any message that we have at the Calvary Prophecy Report with a word of salvation. If you don't know the Lord as Savior, you need to make that decision today. It's nothing more than saying, Lord, forgive me of my sins. I believe that you died on the cross for me, that I could have life eternal and fellowship with God. And then turning your life over to the Lord and living for Him. He died for you. You must live for Him. Well, this is Terry Malone with the Calvary Prophecy Report.